Okay, we are getting towards the end. So, we have recorded all of our entries in a journal, right? Many pages long since the dawn of time, right? So, here's our many page journal. And then we've taken those and we have posted them to a ledger. And the ledger is a long listing of all the debits and credits. And here, right, so here's our ledger, right? It's all the listings of all the debits and credits that occurred. And then within the ledger are all the accounts with all of their balances, etc. And at the end of the month, part of the process of closing out the month's books is you generate what's called a trial balance. So you gather up all of the accounts. You gather up all of the accounts and you write down each account, the account number, and the debits and the credits in the balance. Okay, and you just summarize it, right? So the trial balance is really a summary of the ledger. And at the end of the day, the total debits and the total credits better equal. Okay, so in our example here that we've been working through for the first 2 chapters, it does equal, but they don't always. So going on a hunting expedition with the trial balance is one of the joys of accounting, and that was the topic of that "Where's the $3,000" thing, right, from The Office. Okay, so this is called an unadjusted trial balance, and it's called that because we have a couple of other trial balances that we're going to be looking at later in the book. Okay, sometimes errors are made. Right. And this book, this is wonderful. It gives you these terrific little ways to find where the error is based on what the difference is between the two. Right? So if they're different, then you have to go on a hunt for the problem. You have to find the source of the discrepancy. Right? And so your book gives you these great examples of like how to do them. So, for instance, if your difference is like, 10 or 100 or 1,000, then you probably just messed up your adding. If it can be divided by 2, then probably, if the difference can be divided by 2, then probably you misapplied a debit or a credit. If it's easily divisible by 9, that often results literally from like a data entry error where you didn't copy things right. And if it is not easily divisible by 2 or 9, and so that's when that's when you got to start really working hard to find the error. Now, does any of this actually happen by hand anymore? No, of course not. This is all done by computers behind the scenes. So, building this system by hand is helpful for you to learn how the system actually works underneath the surface of your QuickBooks accounts. But trial balance errors are going to come from inaccurate data entry, and probably not from mathematical errors, because computers do that for you, right? So here are some examples of what happens to cause errors in a trial balance. For instance, we paid a cash withdrawal of $5,600, and we posted it as a debit to salary and a credit to cash. Right, so we have ignored the withdrawal and called it a salary expense. And so salary expense is going to be excessively high, but the trial balances will still be in balance, right? Because basically she misclassified that that cash withdrawal as salary. So it's not going to show up on your trial balance. Now here we have a data entry problem, and this is the kind of thing where, if you are just recording these transactions and just mix up the numbers, right? So 2850 was recorded as 2580, right? So it's going to be off. It's going to be off by $270 because you didn't use the same amount on the debit and the credit side. Payment of $3,500 to a creditor was posted as a debit of $3,500 to accounts payable and a debit of $3,500 to cash. And so that means that you're going to be off by $7,000 because you basically double counted the debits where one of them should have been a credit, right? So these are the kind of things that'll make your life miserable when you're trying to make business plans or do the accounting for a company, but this is, part of the life of a numbers person. Sometimes you gotta go on hunts to figure out where the source of errors in the numbers is. Okay. So that was just a real quick one, and we only have one more section to go in this chapter.